all of you present on this digital platform of Philosophy Family. A hearty welcome to all of you, particularly students. This contemporary Indian philosophy chapter is exclusively meant for UG students who are interested for UGC, NET and GATE examinations, and also for teachers and lovers of learning. I will not take much of your time. Today we have with us Professor Pramod Kumar Das. You all are very much aware of him, and I will just give a very brief introduction about Sir. Professor Pramod Kumar Das sir, as a student, he was very bright. To his credit, he became twice first class first in UG level as well as in PG level, and as a teacher, you can say he is teacher par excellence. He is a prolific speaker, and his academic rigor and commitment to the cause of philosophy is definitely praiseworthy. And not only he is the founder of the philosophy family, he has also established other forums like Wisdom Forum, and he had delivered n number of lectures in different forums, not only in Odisha but across India. Today he is going to address us on the topic that is ideal society and just society, a comparative study between Gandhi and Ambedkar. So, with this, I welcome you, sir, to this platform, and I welcome all the students, all the participants for their presence, and I request, sir, to uh, come and address us. Thank you, sir.
Pranam, Kalyani madam, my big sister, namaskar to all of you. Good evening to my students. Today we have a very beautiful topic, that is ideal society and just society. We shall discuss these two concepts from the perspective of the philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi and Ambedkar. Almost all contemporary Indian philosophers, we are interested in the welfare of the human beings. They were less metaphysical and more humanitarian in their approach. They were interested for the development of human society and the development of each and every individual. So here comes the question whether we are interested for a society, development of the society, or the development of an individual. So there are basically there are three types of relation between individual and society, and many great thinkers, they have their different opinions regarding the status of society and individual. Some claim that if society is good, then and the life of an individual must be good. Some other philosophers, some other thinkers claim that no, society is an abstraction. If an individual is groomed properly, if an individual is good, then automatically we can have a very healthy society. That means theoretical discussion about socialism, social norms, social stratification, including religion also, that is one part. The other part is the problem of the existence of an individual. Therefore, in the modern time, we are discussing about existentialism, we are discussing about pragmatism, we are discussing about humanity, crisis of humanity. Because each and every individual is important for us. And this is the contribution of a contemporary Indian philosophers. Almost all, Vivekananda, Sri Aurobindo, Mahatma Gandhi, all others, Radhakrishnan, Ambedkar, both in India and Western, in Indian land and Western land, philosophers focus on the development of human beings. That how can an individual live a better life? But we see that individual life is very often regulated by, motivated by the social rules and norms. It is the society that regulates the life of regulates individual's life. It may be dogmatic, it may be rational, it may be religious. An individual is bound to follow the norm of the society because he can't live without depending upon others. When an individual depends upon another individual or a group of people, we feel the necessity of a society. We can't say that an individual can afford all the aspects of life, necessities of life by himself. If we need grocery, if we need other materials for our existence, we have to depend upon many people. For our protection, we need a community. We need others. We can't live alone. We can't live isolatedly. We can't live because by nature we are social, and social living is also a necessity. This is one part. But what happens, the same society becomes the crisis of the individual. And it is natural. Suppose I depend upon X, then the X factor will dominate, will regulate my way of life. Because I am dependent. And we cannot remain independent because we are social beings and we can't live. Individually, we can't live. Individual freedom we have individual freedom, we have freedom of speech, we have many types of freedom, but we need a society for our protection and for our survival. Even animals have also their society. They do not they are not conscious of the social norms, but their social living is biological. Our social living is psychological. Psychologically, we are social. Psychologically, we understand. Intellectually, we understand. We interpret the necessity of a society. But dogs also live in their community. Dogs have their society. Animals have their society. Birds of same feather flock together. That means the species of the common species live together. Now scientists claim that plants have also society. Plants live together. There is a communication between plants. Even communication of emotion. Communication of emotion between plant and human beings, plant and animals, and between plants. So there is plant society, animal society, human society. But when we are discussing society with a rational approach, here we are discussing about human society. And in that discussion, the individual's life is given much importance. What is the role of an individual? Is that individual equal with others? This is a very important question. Equality is an important question. If there is a society without equality, then it is not society at all. But we are living, unfortunately, we are living in a society without equality. So that was the concern of the great thinkers like Mahatma Gandhi, Ambedkar in India and Karl Marx in West. Because they are the modern thinkers. We are living in a pseudo society, so-called society. We are claiming that we are social, but we are not worried about the hunger of a hungry man. We have no concern for the hunger of the our neighbor, because the difference between the rich and poor is so big that indicates the real picture of our society and our social living. That means selfish living, egocentric living is individuality, and when we speak of social living, it is something that transcends our egocentric feelings, sentiments, attitudes. If it is missing somewhere in our thought, speech, and action, in our way of life, then we can't claim that we are really social. But who will bail the cat? Who will raise the voice? Naturally, a great person, a great seer, those who are very much knowledgeable and those who have a very soft heart, those who have compassion, those who have love, those who have concern for others, they can think this. They can bring a revolution in society. So what happens? There are many individuals in society. each and every individual has his or her personal life, personal hunger. Personal hunger means if I am hungry, then nobody will have any interest to give me some food. If somebody is not conditionally related to me, conditionally relation means my wife, my child, they are conditionally related to me. Because she is my wife, she will be concerned about my hunger. Because somebody is not concerned, is not related to me anyway, she will have no concern. But this is not socialism. We have to form such a society where there will be no hunger at all. A hunger-free society. Very simple thing. We don't want to build a society of a paradise, heavenly society. We don't imagine that. We simply think of a society where nobody will die out of starvation. Nobody will remain hungry. Nobody will remain without treatment, medical treatment. Nobody will remain illiterate. Nobody will be neglected. Nobody will be disrespected. This is the very this is the very pathetic situation. That every individual should be respected by others. Not only that I am poor, economically poor. I am giving an example. An individual is economically poor. How bad things come together. Bad fate come together. Many things come together in bad time. What is the bad things? An individual is economically poor. That individual belongs to a lower caste without choice, because the person who is of a lower caste, he had no choice to choose or to select his parents or his caste. Number one, he is economically poor. Number two, he belongs to a lower caste, what we call untouchable person, that nobody can touch him. And third one is because of his poorness and because of his lower caste, that person is not given due respect. Rather, he is neglected, humiliated, separated from the mainstream. And when this crisis becomes bitter, generally human psyche awakens and people start people start speaking against. Revolution starts at that time. And but who will revolt? Only the great person. Great person is not that, is not he who is highly educated. Great person is not he who is a great political leader. Great person is he who has love and compassion for others. So we have three models. One model is the Gandhian model. Mahatma Gandhi speaks of ideal society. The second model is Ambedkar's model. He is speaking about just society. And the third model is Marxian model. What is the conflict? The conflict is between individual and society. The conflict is between labor class and capitalists. For this conflict, there are three responses. Mahatma Gandhi is claiming that we should have an ideal society. That means we should live as human beings. We should be moral. Ideal means moral. We should have a moral society in which not only labor class, each and everybody, Mahatma Gandhi is concerned about each and every individual. Not only the labor class, if somebody is a human being, he should be respected. And that should be our society, where at least a person should be given his or her due respect. So he is not in favor of a capitalist or a labor class. If you are a human being, you should be respected. It does not mean that a capitalist will be harassed. A capitalist will be killed. A capitalist will be put into some crisis at the cost of the benefit of the labor class. No. This is not ideal society. In an ideal society, there will be no violence at all. No type of violence. This is one model. We shall discuss that. How this model is established by Mahatma Gandhi. The second model, the Ambedkar's model, he was in favor of Dalit. He was in favor of the downtrodden. He was in favor of the people of lower caste. And he was in favor of a just society. There is a difference between ideal and justice. That difference is the difference between morality and legality. Something may be legal, but that may not be moral. Something may be legally sound, but that may not be moral. Ambedkar is claiming the legal claim that we shall have such a constitution, we shall have such constitutional provision for the downtrodden that by the force of law, they will be given such benefits, and such benefits are they are getting till now after so many years. Now the situation has become opposite. Because in order to change that system, we have to change the law. We have to change the constitutional provisions. Because it is a question of a law. It is a question of a legality. I am giving an example. Suppose there is a divorce case between husband and wife. Forget a divorce case. Suppose a father is complaining that my son and my daughter-in-law, they are not taking proper care of me. So the court will give order that you cannot neglect your parents. You have to give your parents 3 times food and all medical treatments. This is the order of the court. So this is legality. This is the order according to the court. But this is not affection. This is not morality. Legality sanction is not life. When our mother feeds us, when a mother feeds the child, she does not feed in the sense that she is mother. And it is her duty. Duty is legal. Duty is something legal means duty is something connected with a principle. I did it because because it is my duty to do it. It's the sense of duty. But beyond that, there is morality. How you feed your parents. You may reduce one roti. Suppose you are giving three roti, three breads, and today you are giving one bread. That is not a problem. But you should feed your parent. You should feed your father. You should treat your father with love and affection, with care. They need this. But no court of law can pass the order that you love your parents, because that is a question of morality. No court of law can pass the order that Mr. Husband, you love your wife, because that is a personal affair. Morality cannot be taught in the classroom. Morality cannot be passed as an order in the court of law. Mahatma Gandhi is speaking of an ideal society. It is beyond court of law. It is beyond constitutional provision. No constitution can help you to build an ideal society, because it is the sanskara, it is the sanskara of the individual. Just society is an imposition, legal imposition, that we have constituted some principles, laws, that it is a compulsion. You can't violate any law of the state. You can't violate. It is an offense. You will be punished. There is also provision for punishment. But morality is beyond punishment. And that is the real punishment. Suppose somebody is not loved by another, that is the real punishment. Because I am neglected means my economic negligence matters, but that is not enough. So for having an ideal society, and the third, I shall come to that. And the third model is the Marxian model. He is in favor of the labor class people, and he is against the capitalists. Ambedkar was not against the capitalists. He was in support of the downtrodden. That constitutional provisions should be made accordingly, so that they will be given some benefits. They will have equal rights. This was his attempt. But Karl Marx, in addition to this, Karl Marx was interested to abolish capitalism, that their wealth shall be distributed. Three models. The Gandhian model is to be good in character, to be an individual, understand the ideal of life, follow the path of non-violence, be truthful, be a satyagrahi, believe in sarvodaya, betterment of others. If you are good in character, automatically you shall become a very good individual, and with some good individuals we can have an ideal society. Such a great thought. But the second model is No, no, no. We have to do something hard. Something hard means we have to give justice. Justice by the force of a legal provision. For example, I am giving an example. Suppose automatically my property, my wealth will be transferred to my child after my death. There is a legal provision. But if I want to sell my property with the consent of my family members, there is such legal provision. I can do that. So mere friendship, mere relationship is not enough. We have to go to the sub-register office and there we have to make a sale deed. Because that is the legal provision, so there will be no future confusion, future conflict. So beyond human relationship, beyond emotional relation, beyond feelings, we execute the legal provisions for our security, to ensure the rights in future. So here comes the question of justice in the form of imposition of law or the provision of law. There is a provision, and after that there is an imposition. We use that law. This is the second model, and the third model is a revolution. There is a revolution against the capitalists. Mahatma Gandhi does not prefer it because it amounts to violence. That let us one is sanskara, one is good character, second is legal provision or constitutional provision. We are taking the help of law, and the third one is we are involved in revolution. Three ways. One is the moral way, the other is the legal way, and the third one is the revolutionary way. That if you raise your voice, if we become united, the labor class will be united, then the capitalists will have no property, no wealth without the labor class. So we can regulate this mechanism through revolution. Out of these three models, we shall not discuss Karl Marx, but here we are discussing about the distinction between morality and legality. In the legal provision, we can say something to be right if it is legally approved. The definition of rightness in morality and in legality, there is difference. Definition is different. Something may be morally correct, morally right, but that may be illegal. And something may be legally correct, but we can't give guarantee that it is morally correct. There are so many examples that we can't educate our emotional feelings through the legal mechanism. It is personal. In spite of all restrictions of the court of law, a mother loves her child. No court can bar it, no court can challenge it. Even if the court challenges it, mother will not stop loving her child. This is the natural tendency. Mahatma Gandhi is giving focus on that. Mahatma Gandhi is speaking that be a good individual. Be a good individual. Automatically, an ideal society will be formed. And that individual should follow the path of ahimsa, non-violence, so that there will be no class at all. No class. No class, CLSS, no class, CLSH. No class, no class. Because this class is violence, that class is also violence. Why? Because our empirical life, our social life, our political life, all these aspects of life are guided by our philosophy, our darsana. How one thinks, how one visualizes the truth, that becomes his way of life. Mahatma Gandhi believes in two basic principles. One is truth and ahimsa, truth and non-violence. What is truth? Truth is nothing but God. God is truth. No. Truth is God. That one should be truthful. If one is truthful, he should understand the unity in diversity. That we all are one. We all belong to one society. We are all brothers and sisters. And in the understanding of unity in diversity, we can feel the hunger of it. I am repeating that word hunger because it was a very great concept of Mahatma Gandhi, because he was interested in fasting. In his book Bhagavad Gita, in every chapter he has given importance to the art of fasting. One should culture to observe. One should observe fasting, because that is the technique to fight against the impulses of our sense organs. If one can conquer hunger by fasting, then automatically he can be a perfect person, and he will become selfless, because hunger is the root of, or the appetite is the root of all crises. Therefore, Mahatma Gandhi is very beautiful saying that man has everything. The earth has everything for our needs, but hardly anything for our greed. That greed is the excess appetite. So Mahatma Gandhi believes in non-possession. That don't possess more than necessary. Don't be possessive. Possessiveness is attachment. You take that much what you need. So this is a direct approach. This is a moral approach to maintain equality. Ambedkar is trying to maintain equality by imposing the constitutional provision that there shall be reservation for such people, this reservation up to this percentage. So these are the law. So if there will be any recruitment, that should be through this provision, because it is the law. But here Mahatma Gandhi is not speaking about that legal provision. Mahatma Gandhi is speaking about your moral character. And your moral character is your sanskara. That if you have hunger, you feel the hunger of others. That is society. Society means that. If you claim that you are social, but you fail to feel the hunger of your neighbor, you are not really social. If you have a violent thinking, not acting, if you have a violent thinking, ill thinking about anybody else, you are not social. So the person who observes non-violence is really a social being. So the character of an individual is very much important. That one should culture, one should control his sense organs, one should control the appetite of hunger, one should feel the intensity of hunger, so that man can culture the cardinal values of love, compassion, forgiveness, all these things. And once it is cultured, once such cardinal values are cultured in human being, in an individual, automatically we can have an ideal society. This trend is now going on. How far we are successful or not, that is a bad thing. Now we are discussing about 5T, 6T. We are now discussing about we are introducing ethics and values in education. This attempt is that every student should be ethical by nature. Every student should have a moral character. Imagination of a society, that society will be so and so, that is the consequence. The method is to build a man. Therefore, in the Veda, it is called Manurbhava. You become a good individual. Society is secondary. Every parent wants that my child should be a good human being. Please kindly be a good human being. It is not necessary that you should be a bad doctor or a bad engineer or a bad IS officer. But it is good if you become a good human being. And if you live in an ideal society, not a very successful society, not a very materialistic society, not in a very sophisticated society, live in an ideal society where every individual at least understands and lives the values of life. Understanding the value of life and living the value of life is the ideal life. And in the society where individuals believe in this and live by this, that society is an ideal society. There is no necessity of external imposition of morality on the individual. External imposition is violence. Because value is intrinsic by nature. Values cannot be imposed by government, by state, by any court of law. So court of law, even Supreme Court, that fails in case of sentimental affairs. Nobody can make a beautiful negotiation between husband and wife. They can make divorce. Hundreds of divorces can be made possible by the court of law. But a single compromise, a negotiation, it's not possible because that is personal, that is moral, that is ideal, that belongs to that is rooted in our sanskar. Mahatma Gandhi is speaking of that intrinsic value of a human being. Therefore, he is speaking about village republic. Village republic is an attempt to start from the grassroots. That if you speak of republic, if you speak of your autonomy, your freedom, start from your village. That means the decentralization of power. That means every village should have its own republic. Every village should be sufficient. Every village should be ruled by itself. It should have its own management. So from the individual, we can extend to not to the state directly, to the village community. This is the attempt. This is the attempt. The individual is important. Next is village. So he was worried about the village republic. He was not worried about state. State is the final consequence. So ideal society is a society that teaches us to live a life of harmony, to live a life of love and compassion. Automatically, there will be equality. Equality cannot be established by any imposition of law. This is possible only through violence and non-violence, only through satyagraha, only through sarvodaya. That means we should have only intention that we should do everything for lokasangraha. That means the betterment of all. That is social life. Social life means our every action should be an instance of a yajna. It should be meant for others. And for that, we have to be moral by nature. We should follow the path of non-violence. We should be satyagrahi. We should be truthful. And we should be non-possessive. Non-possessiveness is very, very important. Non-possessive. And we should culture the art of pratyahara, sense of withdrawal. Sense of withdrawal. That means a sense of detachment. That we should not possess too much. Suppose I take 2 bread. But this dinner is tasty, therefore I took 3. So taking 1 bread more is also stealing, according to Mahatma Gandhi. This is also an act of violence, because stealing is violence. You stole 1 bread. So observe non-violence to this extent and be a good individual being. So all the concepts of Mahatma Gandhi regarding Swadeshi, regarding Sarvodaya, village republic, all these concepts, they are moral concepts. Though they sound political, that means the political philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi is rooted on his moral teaching, on his philosophical thought. So first is metaphysics, that means philosophy, then comes ethics or morality, then automatically comes society and government or state. So society and state is the outcome of society and state. These mechanisms are also pragmatic. They are necessary for an individual. But these mechanisms are outcomes of philosophy and ethics. First, we should have a good philosophical thought, metaphysical thought that truth is God. We should have that understanding. From that metaphysics, the morality, the ethics follows that one should be truthful, one should be satyagrahi, one should be non-violent, one should culture love, compassion and forgiveness, one should be non-possessive, one should maintain pratyahara or the sense of withdrawal or the sense of detachment, and one should have a very good moral character. This is the ethics of an individual. So the philosophy and ethics of an individual and the philosophy and ethics of each and every individual of this type shall build an ideal society, ideal government, ideal state. So this is India. If we define our country, India, in comparison to other countries, then this is India where people live with this culture. This culture. If we don't live, then that is the real crisis. Our crisis is not the government. Our crisis is not the society. The crisis is the crisis of our individuality. Individuality is the crisis, not the society. So why? What is the pragmatic value of our philosophy and ethics? The pragmatic value of our philosophy and ethics is that we can remove all dogmatic conceptions. Each and everybody, all of us, we believe in the four varnas or caste. That is very important topic when we are discussing about society. And here we are discussing about Hindu society. Here we are not discussing about any other society. So in Hindu society, we believe in four varnas: Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra. And there are two types of visions about this division. The dogmatic vision is that this classification is due to our birth. We are born Brahmin, we are born Kshatriya, we are born Vaishya and we are born Sudra. And the second approach, second response is that it is not according to this type of dogmatic approach. This approach is very much rational. That according to the ability, we are characterized into four types. But this confusion, this conflict is so strong in human psyche that still today also we are continuing that, we are suffering from that. So even in the Bhagavad Gita it is said that the four types of division, the caste system, is only because of guna and karma. Guna and karma, your quality and your action, your attitude. So Brahmin are those. It is a character. It is a characteristic feature of an individual who is inclined for knowledge. Very simple. If you have inclination for knowledge, then you are a Brahmin. And if you are inclined for wisdom, if you are inclined for knowledge, accordingly your action will be determined. You will act accordingly. And you will teach others. You are conscious of the values. People will expect everything good from you. So this is one quality, because human beings cannot have all qualities. And Mahatma Gandhi is also making a very beautiful difference between men and women. I shall go to that. So this is because an individual cannot have all possible characteristics or abilities. So according to the available ability, an individual is characterized as a Brahmin or a Kshatriya or a Sudra or a Vaishya. One has the ability to protect and one has the ability to protect and protest. In that sense, he is a Kshatriya. And one has ability of commerce. Commerce means the empirical intelligence. How to deal with the empirical problems. How to earn money intelligently. That is also an art. And the third one is the ability to serve people. So according to these four abilities, there are four burners. Another interpretation from my side, I shall say, and many times I have said also, that these four abilities are available in each and every individual. Every individual is a Brahmin, is a Kshatriya, is a Vaishya and a Sudra at the same time. The same individual is a Brahmin when he is engaged, when he is giving concentration to study. As we have three gunas, Sattva, Raja and Tama. Sometimes Sattva is dominant, sometimes Raja is dominant, sometimes Tama guna is dominant. Similarly, sometimes we are inclined for wisdom. Now we are all Brahmins. We are all Brahmins now. Because I am speaking something very carefully, attentively, and you are all listening. That means we are involved in an academic ambience. Therefore, we are all Brahmin. But suppose some criminals will enter my house and they will try to kill my child, then I shall become a Kshatriya. There are so many examples that a mother can fight with a tiger to save her child. At that time, that mother who has a very soft heart, she becomes furious. That attitude is Kshatriya. Kshatriya attitude. And we all have that. Sometimes we are emotional, sometimes we are intellectual, sometimes we are also very courageous. And we all do business, or we all have earning capacity, that is Vaishya guna. Sometimes we devote our time for earning money, and we are very calculative. We know how to spend, how to save, how much to spend, how much to save. So in that way, we are very much intelligent. So in that aspect, we are Vaishya. And we also serve society, serve our family, serve each other. At that time, we are Sudra. So these four abilities are also available in each and every individual. Not that there are some people who are those who have Brahmin brand level. No. So these four qualities. So this type of approach is a rational approach. If we understand this way, then we can think of equality. This is the road to equality. If you think that we are divided by caste, a Brahmin is different from a Sudra by caste, then there is division. And wherever there is division, there is violence, there is disrespect, there is negligence, and therefore there is revolution. So out of these two choices, the contemporary Indian thinkers and also the ancient, the great rishis, they all think that man is man. Man, aham brahmasmi. Man is that soul. Man is Paramatma. Man is that pure consciousness. Man should not be divided into different fractions, like being a Brahmin, being a Sudra, being a Kshatriya, and being a Vaishya. So this type of division in thought is also violence. In practice, it is violence. Even in thought, it is also violence. But unfortunately, today, in the year of 2022, we still believe in casteism. That we are Brahmin by birth, my son is Brahmin, my son may be Chandala by in attitude, but he is Brahmin because he is my son, because I am Brahmin. This type of dogmatic approach is not the approach of an illiterate person, it is the approach of the highly educated people. So in order to by that what happens? By this dogmatic approach, some class of people, those who belong to the lower caste, according to the dogmatic approach, lower caste, I don't use that word lower caste. Lower caste I am using according to the dogmatic approach. Therefore, we are using the word ST and SC. I respect man as man. But government is saying ST and SC. Such division should not be there in theory or in practice. Anyway, because in the name of equality, we are discussing about division only. Anyway, but the plus point is, in order to mitigate this dogmatic approach and in order to give justice to the downtrodden, the neglected people, those who belong to the lower caste according to the dogmatic approach, Ambedkar thought of a rigorous step. That rigorous step is the legal imposition. That if people are not motivated by moral principle according to Mahatma Gandhi, then we shall make certain provisions for the downtrodden, that the government will be bound and everybody will be bound to follow that law, to respect that law. So here comes the constitutional provision. So this is another attempt to maintain equality. So equality through morality and equality through legality. These are two attempts, but the equality is the common factor between Mahatma Gandhi and Ambedkar. Their motto is to maintain equality, samata, equality. Everybody will have equal rights. So equality can be maintained by morality. This is the approach of Mahatma Gandhi. Equality can be approached by equality can be maintained by the imposition of law. But their aim is same. Their aim is that every man should have equal rights. So the first one is the ideal society. Ideal society means the society with certain ideal or moral principles. But when we speak of just society, there we speak of justice for all individuals. And that justice is possible by an external imposition. That is the law of the state. So the political philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi and Ambedkar, there is hell and heaven difference. One is based upon morality and the other is based upon the constitutional provision, that we shall make such a constitution that everybody will come under that provision and they are bound. And that is also now continuing. So in the name of justice, we can have equality, and in the name of morality, we can have equality. Three things are very much important according to Ambedkar. One is liberty, the other is equality, and the third one is fraternity. Liberty means that every man should enjoy freedom. Every man should enjoy freedom is the highest value. In Upanishad also it is said that Mukhya is the Parama Purusartha. So here we are discussing about political freedom. Here politically we should be free. We should have equal rights. We should have freedom of speech. We should have all types of freedom. Equality means we should have equal rights. Each and every individual should have equal rights. And fraternity means we shall live in a world of togetherness, where there is fellow feeling, where there is love and compassion for each other. But gradually, what we are now observing this sometimes constitutional laws they are misused, or they should be amended to some extent, because the purpose is fulfilled. What was the purpose? The purpose was to maintain equality. When the situation becomes reverse, for example, I am giving an example. A doctor will treat a patient. You see the morality and the difference between morality and legality. A doctor will treat a patient. A doctor will operate the body of the patient. So the morality is that the patient should get proper treatment by the doctor. This is morality. But the legality is that for the treatment a doctor is required, so a doctor is appointed. This is legality. If the patient dies out of a wrong operation, then there is no claim, because from the legal perspective, the matter is okay, because he is operated by a doctor, a recognized doctor. Moral standpoint is that a doctor should be a good doctor, talented doctor, that he should save the life of the patient, and there should be proper treatment. But what happens? Suppose a good doctor who is a general caste, who belongs to general caste, he will not get service. He will not, because he has no quota, no reservation. But morally, if he would have operated, the patient will be cured. But if somebody has become a doctor out of the constitutional provision, not according to talent. This is the difference between talent and constitutional provision. According to constitutional provision means legal. According to constitutional provision, somebody is appointed as a doctor, but who is doing the moral duty to save the life of a patient, which is contradictory. He can't do his moral duty who is not appointed by morality. He is appointed by legality. He is appointed by the constitutional provision, not according to the talent. So this is the crisis. Suppose a teacher will teach students. Those who really deserve, they will not get a seat. Those who have deserve means those who have scored good mark, those who can score good mark, they will not get. But there is reservation in mark system. If somebody will get 40%, he will be selected, and he will teach the students. So, and we shall expect good education. We shall expect value education from the society. So here comes the pitfalls, the misuse. If somebody is economically poor, backward, he should be given economical help. That you take some economical help and you try to study. But you cannot be given the help in reservation in mark. That if you suppose then where there is equality, pass mark is same, should be same for all. One individual will pass with 40%, another individual will pass with 60%. So is it equality? It is not equality. But if we have sympathy for the downtrodden, those who are really economically backward, we can give some financial benefits for their education. For their education. So this is the crisis, and this is the, I say this is the failure. And this is politics. This this is continuing because this is legally sanctioned. And something is legally sanctioned that can be legally cancelled. But morality is never cancelled. Morality is the eternal sanction. It is moral forever. If we are speaking about equality, we should discuss it in the true sense of the term. Mahatma Gandhi is saying that no distinction between labor class and a capitalist, because capitalists are also human beings. So no revolution. If there is any revolution, that should be through non-violence. If somebody is your enemy from a particular standpoint, then after he is a man. So love your enemy. This is Indian culture. This is morality. You can love your enemy and you can kill your relatives. This is Bhagavad Gita. You can love your enemy and you can kill your relatives if they are doing adharma. This is Bhagavad Gita, and this is equality. Arjuna failed to maintain equality in the battlefield, that I shall not fight with against my relatives. This is not equality. If you are a man of equality, you should fight against your father, against your brothers, against your teachers, if they are doing adharma. This is equality. So if there is a true sense of equality, then there should not be any distinction between Brahmin, ST, SC, or general SC, ST. This division is not about equality. It is a division. But this is the provision. This is the constitutional provision. So my point is, the goal is to maintain the goal is to foster liberty, equality, and fraternity. This is the goal. But the means, Mahatma Gandhi says, the end and the means should be good. If your end is that, if your end is to maintain liberty, equality, and fraternity, your means should be good. That means is your morality. Here, according to Ambedkar, the means is constitutional provision, the law. So this is the difference. So in goal they are same, but in means they are different. But today we are living a dual life. We are living a dual life means we experience the value of ideal society according to Mahatma Gandhi, because we are all moral, we have that consciousness, we all understand what is ideal society. And the second experience is we are suffering from the second approach, that is the constitutional provision or legality. So we have double experience. We have moral sentiment, and in that way we are conscious of equality, and we are living through the laws of the state, the constitutional provisions in our practical life, and that is also our experience. Okay, and we fakely claim that we are social. We are crying within, we are suffering within. There is a greater deal of inequality within us in thought, speech, and action. But we are claiming that we are social. We have a very good society, very practical society. So from this, Karl Marx method will be correct in some extent. Wherever there is, as in Bhagavad Gita it is said, wherever there is a dharma, Lord Krishna or Lord will descend to the earth and will protect the good people and will punish the wicked. Similarly, wherever there will be injustice in a long run, there will be revolution. There will be revolution. Neglected people will revolt against the privileged people. This is the consequence of any type of injustice in society. In that sense, Karl Marx methodology, that is also correct, because that is the natural consequence. So what is the ethics? The ethics is nobody should be neglected in a society. Nobody. Neither general, nor ST, nor SC, nor OBC. No such division. Every man should be respected as a man. Every man should be given all types of provision, equality. If we are all moral human beings, we should help each other. Therefore, there should not be any poverty. Nobody will die starving. Nobody will die without food. There will be peace and love and compassion in society and in individual life. So this is our social life and our individual life. My submission to by comparing Mahatma Gandhi and Ambedkar is that we should be a good person, good human being first. We should have respect for the constitutional provisions second. And we should have a very practical society. We may not call it an ideal society or a just society. We should have a very practical society. Practical society means where practically we maintain equality, not by constitutional provision or not by any revolution. Practically we should maintain equality. Practically we should maintain liberty. We are very pathetic, unfortunate thing that we are claiming that we are living in a democratic. We are all we have democracy. That means the political freedom. But we very much know how far we are democratic in our political life and in our social life. I shall not go to that. Anyway, therefore in the Upanishad it is said, beyond political freedom, beyond social freedom, beyond individual freedom, there is the highest pursuit of freedom itself, that is Moksha Paramapurusartha. Be that. These all types of freedom, empirical freedoms, these are transitory. They will come and go. Tomorrow, the constitutional provisions will be changed. Will be changed. What type of a change will come, we don't know. But that can be changed. But the cardinal values, the eternal freedom, the ananda, the bliss, the morality, that shall remain forever. Forever. Thank you. If anybody has any question, he can ask. And before that, I shall request Kalyani Madam to give her observation if I am wrong at any point. Not only I explained these two theories, I gave my own observation, my own free thinking on this issue. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful comparison between Gandhi and Ambedkar's views regarding society. Basically, the distinction between ideal society and just society. I am privileged to briefing his talk. So, Professor Das uh, began with highlighting the conceptual nuances between the concept ideal and just. And then he proceeds on giving importance on the welfare of the human, whether we talk about ideal society or we talk about just society, the purpose is nothing other than the welfare of the humanity. But here, he told that we always found ourselves in a fix, whether we will be individualistic or will give importance on individual good, or we will be holistic, we will give importance on social good. Very aptly, he connected the topic with the new isms like existentialism, pragmatism, humanism, and so on. But then he focuses on there must be a harmony between our individual life and our social life. Our individual life is to be regulated, and it is the responsibility of the society to look into it. No doubt, we have individual freedom of different forms, but we need a society for our growth, for our protection, and for our prosperity also. And he further moved on talking about plants, social living, and he also talked of animal society, and very beautifully that I like the most is that he made a distinction between biological living and psychological living. Particularly, when we talk of any rational approach, we talk only in terms of human society, and a human society based upon, you can say, based upon a very fundamental concept, that is equality. But unfortunately, we see a seesaw scenario in our social living. There are the gap is every day, the gap between the poor and rich is widening. There is still caste system prevails in our society, though we are living in the 21st century. Racism is still still there, sexism is still disturbs us. If you are a woman, you are excluded, and if you are a poor and Dalit woman, you are doubly excluded. Starvation, particularly, he gave more and more importance on hunger, starvation, death, illiteracy, deprived of healthcare facilities, and many more are the stark realities of the society. Though we are living in the 21st century, but very unfortunate to share with all of you is that some parts of the world still feel the pinch of the hunger. We are parting more, and thereby we are wasting more, and we live in the attitude of eating less and waste more, but still we allow the other part of the world to live in hunger. Even there are many documentary films you can see where the youth at the age of 20 or 21, because of the deprivation of the food, they are crawling on the ground. There are many documentary films are there. Still, hunger is prevailing in the other part of the world, you can say. So, I can say that these are the stark realities of the society, and we are not only economically poor, but at the same time we are socially poor too. So basically, to address the issues, so there is, we always find ourselves in a fix between the conflict between a man and the society. So to address the conflict between man and society, Professor Das highlights upon three models. One is the Gandhian model, second one is the Ambedkar model, and the third one is the Marx model. Gandhian model, as you know, it is an ideal model which focuses more on the ideal society, because Gandhi thinks everyone, every human person, every human being is not only divine at the core, at the same time moral also. He is also moral at the core, and every human being should be respected in whatever position he or she may be in the society. So if we can develop that sense of morality within ourselves, then we will develop a sense of love, compassion, and empathy, and I can feel the hunger of others. There is, so by that we can say that an ideal society can be formed which is free from all sorts of violence. So coming to the Ambedkar's model, which talks about a just society, and Professor Das also highlighted that there are, when we talk about a just society, there are constitutional provisions are there for the downtrodden people. So basically, Ambedkar talked more about justice, liberty, and fraternity, and justice about there is everybody. It is in the form of the basic rights, right to food, right to health, right to education. All these are there. That I need no more discussion. You all are aware of that, and Professor Das also repeatedly highlighted upon this concept of justice and how it is understood in the Ambedkar's model. And coming to the another component, that is liberty. Liberty means free from all sorts of oppressive restrictions, and fraternity is nothing but it is just we can say fellow feeling, the sense of fellow feeling, the sense of feeling oneness. And Professor Das also said the same thing in his own language, unity in diversity. Thereby we can say we support each other. But the very important thing that I liked about his explanation regarding the ideal society, which is basically which is particularly initially it is good for the individual, which is based upon truth, non-violence, and aparigraha, pratyahara, and so many things. And particularly in his today's deliberation, he gave importance on fasting. Fasting means not only he interpreted it as the ability to control your hunger, the ability to eye for more things, and he also gave importance on Swadeshi product and village republic or Gram Swaraj. So thereby we can think of an ideal society. But finally, he zeroed down to his discussion on the debate between morality and legality. And prior to that, gave he also discussed more on the concept of Varna Dharma. And regarding the Varna Dharma, or understanding the Varna Dharma, he focuses more on two approach. One is the dogmatic approach, and another one is the rational approach. And because there is a difference regarding this, particularly regarding this Varna Dharma. There is a huge difference you can see between Ambedkar's way of understanding and Gandhian way of understanding Varna Dharma. And Gandhi, though Gandhi supports Varna Dharma, but outrightly Ambedkar opposes it, and he married to a, and there are also his experiences, as Sir also pointed out in his deliberation. Because he belonged to a Dalit family, so from his schooling days to his latter part of his life, he is excluded on many occasions. So he opposes Gandhi, and he married to a Brahmin lady who is a professor by profession in Pune University, and because of that he is also particularly Ambedkar was also successful in converting many Dalit Hindu of Maharashtra in lakhs to embrace Buddhism. So Sir beautifully he highlighted upon that, and particularly the two approaches that he mentioned, that is really commendable. And perhaps this is the misunderstanding between Gandhi and between Ambedkar. Perhaps it might be the case that Gandhi had the understanding of rational approach to this concept, whereas Ambedkar had the dogmatic approach. But I like the most is that when there was the discussion, when he was giving his deliberation on Varna Dharma, he said that every individual has these four abilities. The the only difference is that how you play with any one of that ability at a particular point of time. Also, that again, Sir also talked about the how the dominant character of one's personality will determine one's varna, and if Sir also talked about how casteism leads to different forms of class. And here again I want to quote to Gandhi. Gandhi talked about Harijana, and he interpreted Harijana not as a lower caste, rather as Harinka Jana. You can say the children of Hari or God. In that way Gandhi interpreted. So if Sir Pramod sir said that if we establish a casteless society, then we will have definitely a classless society where there will be justice, liberty, and fraternity will be there. And finally, Sir talked about the debate between the morality and the legality. Here I can say that that which is legal, that may not be moral, but that which is moral, that has to be legal, because morality is a broader concept which it is more broader than legal. So living an ideal society automatically lead to a just society. That was the, you can say, that was the takeaway of today's deliberation of Professor Das. And the ideal society that teaches us living in harmony through love, through love, compassion, and empathy, and so on. So again, there are the problems are there that we cannot say that we are, whether we are living in a just society and ideal society. We always talk about Ram Rajya, but sir gave more importance on the practical living, and that practical living, even in today's 21st century, we also see some parts of the India where there are villages where there are no shopkeepers in the house, no doors are there in a house. So still that is in practice, that we cannot be away from that sort of practice, that sort of ideal example. And again, you know, there are certain, when we talk about a just society of Ambedkar, there are certain things that needs to be philosophically reflected upon. For example, I talked about reservation. Whether that reservation is there, whether that reservation is the only option left to make a society just society, or you can say whether that extension of reservation day by day, whether it is justified, another $1 million question. And whatever the parameter that we are following to make people under the umbrella of reservation, whether that parameters are justifiable or not. So, as our states that exactly in this situation, who will bail the cat? So, who will be the whistleblowers here? So, definitely we expect some social scientists, some statesmen. They must come forward with certain new approaches. So this is not the only approach available, particularly when Ambedkar framed the constitution, that might be there, but now things are changed. Many waters are already flown in the river Ganges. So it's high time that we must relook and rethink of about all these things so that to have a just society. And again, very beautifully, sir concluded that only to have a just society, we need, particularly, we have to give more and more importance on the morality of the individual. So, as you know, we say that the charity should begin from home. So, in the same way, we have to, because the problem, we see the problem is within ourselves. So, while he is discussing about morality and legality, he also highlighted with a very clear distinction that legality is something that is externally imposed and morality is something that we have to internally inculcate. And if we internally inculcate, I think we will not be away from to maintain a just society. So to have a just society, it is within our reach, but we need the courage to establish a just society in the society. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to have my observations. But again, I congratulate sir for such a wonderful uh, pinpointed, very pinpointed. On many occasions, she just clearly demarcate between the distinction between Gandhian way of understanding and Ambedkar's way of understanding. Again, I congratulate sir for such a wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for your beautiful synopsis. Now I really surprised that have I told all these things. Thank you, thank you.
So much you have covered, sir. So much. Many things you have covered. Very beautiful.
Smritirekha Nayak, she has asked more than 5 questions, and I think you have answered all of her questions. But I shall speak only 2-3 minutes, answering all her questions. Her question is that if we say that society protects us, how can we say that society is also a crisis for an individual? If society is an instrument that protects us, it has protective value, then how can it be a crisis? The point is, society is nothing but the collective psyche of individual. Okay, suppose in a particular community there are 1,000 people. The collective psyche of that society depends upon the individual psyche. So, if one individual is wrong, there is no problem. Suppose in a family, one member, one child, or even if the father is drinking, the father is also not good, that can be managed. One individual is wrong, then there is no problem, it can be managed. But if the collective psyche is wrong, if there is dogmatic thinking is there in the society, then that society is very, very harmful than the individual. So we should be, so society protects us, and at the same time, society is also a crisis. Okay, society means the collective psyche. We should be responsible for that. You are an individual, and at the same time you are also a part of the society, so you should be careful about therefore Mahatma Gandhi is speaking about the ideal society. Ideal society is possible through the ideal individuals. Again, she is asking a very beautiful question, that cannot we imagine, cannot we have an ideal society without love and compassion, without only being confined to the sense of duty, as Immanuel Kant said? This is her question. So she is asking the question, she is actually pointing to the distinction between categorical imperative and the contextuality. The point is, duty is good. You should do your duty. But beyond your duty, you have contextual response. That is called Swadharma. Okay. Sadharana Dharma and Swadharma. Sadharana Dharma is your duty. What should you do according to the law, according to the principle? This is duty. But in a specific occasion, you should have ability to differ, to act according to the context. I am giving an example. Telling truth is virtue. So it is your duty as a human being to be truthful, to speak truth. But if you are telling truth is harmful for the community, it is not meant for Lokasangraha, it is not for Sarvodaya, then it is not good. So telling truth is virtue or vice, that is contextual. So this is something beyond the sense of duty. So this is the difference between the different ontological and deontological morality. Okay. So without the sense of contextuality, our adherence to a rigorous principle of morality is also a dogma. So you should be flexible. You should be flexible, and you should be contextual. You should be an asset for the society. You should, okay, this is very, therefore doctors take decision according to the context, parents take decision according to the context, government also takes decision according to the context. It is not that it is written in the moral code, it is the duty, I shall do it. This is called arrogance. In husband and wife, I have seen sometimes they live according to rules, principles. No. Suppose you are not wrong, surrender. For this time you surrender. Then next moment your husband or your friend or your father, he will say, no, no, you were right, I was wrong, but you compromised for the betterment. So this is the attitude. Okay. And she has also asked some other questions, so which I think Madam has already answered. And she is asking that if we have four abilities at a time, then how can then how the skill of development will be possible in a particular area? Yes, very good question. And as I told that we have four abilities at the same time. We are Brahmin, we have these four abilities. But still, out of these four abilities, I am expert in one ability. Okay, suppose I have Brahmin ability or intellectual ability. I am also courageous, and I know the skill of commerce, and I am also doing. I am also giving service to mankind. So in that sense, I am a Brahmin, Vaishya, Sudra, Kshatriya at a time. But I am prone to a particular ability according to my sanskara. In that sense, I am called a Brahmin or Kshatriya or Vaishya or Sudra. Similarly, Sattva, Raja, Tama, three gunas are there. But some people are called Sattvic because the Sattva guna is dominant in their personalities. Some people are called Tamasic. That does not mean they don't have Sattvic and Rajasic qualities. They have all these three qualities. But in their personalities, Tamoguna is dominant. Therefore, as a whole, he is characterized as tamasic. Okay, so we have not only four abilities, we have many abilities, but we are prone to some specific abilities according to our past habits, according to our likes and dislikes. Okay, according to our education, according to our family background, according to our society, we have developed a particular tendency, and that becomes our personality. And also one thing is very important. Suppose you are very weak in mentality for at one moment, but situation will so happen in your life, you will become courageous. So that change is also possible in a personality. Your childhood personality may be something different, but in your adulthood, when you are grown up, when you are married, your personality is something different. Many dull students, they become brilliant when they are grown up, and so this variation is also there. So that depends upon the circumstance. That depends upon the parenting of our parents. That depends upon the social. That depends upon our society where we live in. Then the another question is how. Okay, this much, and Sarvani Madam is asking, the collective psyche leads to collective power, becomes the dedicating factor of nature society. This is the crisis. Okay. Thank you, Madam, for your compliment, for your response, for your observation. And I am very much grateful to Kalyani Madam for speaking better than me. But I thought that I could not explain, but Madam very beautifully explained my
No,
thought.
sir, I want to interfere because this is on this platform. Really, I'm grateful to you from the core of my heart that this platform is meant for learning only. So here No distinction between nothing. We are simply learners. I learn many things from you today, and I have the entire deliberation. There are so much clear cut throws are there in many points of time. So that is really hats off to you. I simply say that hats off to you and nothing else. It is simply
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So
matchless.
with this, this session is declared closed. Thank you. Thank you.